have this on Facebook at some point. So we have started. Let's start with the session, and over to you, Deepti.
Thanks, Malvika. This is a subject that is totally a passion for me. It's a piece of life that I have struggled with for a majority part of my life, but at the moment I feel that I'm at a point where not only do I believe that I'm somebody who's body confident and in love with myself, but also this is something that needs to be talked about with a lot of us. Many of us who believe that we have a lot of self-love, but we somehow unknowingly kind of get into a zone which kind of defeats the whole purpose. So just to give I have a different kind of an introduction. While from a professional standpoint, I'm a person who is in HR. I lead an organization in HR, and I'm a mother of a 25-year-old handsome boy, and a pet parent as well. But I like to introduce myself as a woman who's born twice. Why do I say that? Why do I say that I was born twice? Obviously, the first one, when I came into this world, a wonderful family that I had that always taught me to be sure of myself, confident about myself, totally independent of thought, encouraged you to take decisions on your own. An army family, both my parents and my sister and my brother. We've all been taught to believe in ourselves. And so therefore I decided that I must take my own decision and get married at the age of 21. And that's the first decision that I really took for myself. And I said, okay, this is something I want to do. From there on started a journey where the purpose of my life became pleasing my family, right? It was no longer about me. It was about them. It was about keeping them happy or getting their, getting their validation. All one sought was a little bit of appreciation, a little bit of love, and a little bit of encouragement from them that, okay, what you're doing is great and we love you. Unfortunately, that really did not happen. And I spent most of my life over there trying to get that validation. But finally, I decided ki bas bahut ho gaya and must leave. When I left, then the purpose of my life again changed. Now that purpose became my son, because all of a sudden now his responsibility, his education, his everything became my responsibility, and that was my purpose. So everything that I did in life was centered around him. That he should be happy, he should see a happy mom, he should see a happy person, irrespective of what I was going through inside. Now, that aspect of my life and that purpose of my life was successful when his graduation got done in 2020. And that is when I reached kind of a crossroad. And I kind of lost purpose. I did not know what my purpose was anymore. Because whatever I had worked for, I had gotten at that point in time. There was a job which I was very happy with also. So everybody needs a purpose in life to exist, to live, right? And I think that is why I say I was born twice, because that is the time when I decided to rise from the ashes and all of that shenanigan. And I decided that the purpose of my life is going to be me from here on. I have lived for my family. I have lived for validation. I have lived for my son. But from here on, I'm going to live for myself, because I'm going to choose myself, or I'm going to choose me. And from there on, every bit of whatever I did, what I wore, where I went, who I spoke to, was all because that is what made me happy, right? So that is, in a nutshell, my introduction. Because today, at the moment, in this life, I am my priority, and that's the way I like things to be. It's not to say that I'm a selfish person. No, I wouldn't. I could very confidently say that I'm not a selfish person, but I'm just a person who loves myself and makes myself a priority over everything else that is there in my life. So today we're just going to talk about things that have shaped us to be the way we are, shaped us to understand our own love for ourselves, and how body becomes a major part of how we love ourselves, right? So let's go back, and this is going to be more of a chat. It's not a lecture. We're going to keep going back and forth and talk about ourselves. Let's go back in life. Okay, all of us are 40s, and thereabouts. So when we go back in life, when do you think was the first time you really got conscious of maybe what you were wearing or the way you looked? I will tell you my example, and then I would want you to tell me yours. The first time I really got conscious about what I was wearing, or I felt a little shy about how I was dressed, was we were going for a wedding. I remember I was in class 9 at that time, and I was at that time, those really fancy clothes were in fashion, and bright colors. I was wearing a magenta colored outfit with a black belt, and my brother and his friend who was staying with us, both of them made fun of my clothes. Now, at the end of the day, they're siblings, so I shouldn't have bothered. But the whole thing, because I thought I was looking gorgeous, like oh my God, mere se to sundar koi ho hi nahi sakta. But then came my brother, who started laughing at me, and then came his friend, who also started laughing at me. Ye kya pehna hua hai? Ye koi color hota hai? Ye to this and that. You're looking like candy floss. You're looking like this. You're looking like that. And the whole evening was ruined for me. And I was really conscious. I asked my mom for a black shawl, and I remember I wrapped myself in it, and I was, throughout the wedding, I was like one of the quieter ones and everything. And I came back. That was when I first in my life, I never wore that dress again. But that was the first time I ever got conscious of how I looked or what other people thought about what I wore. So I just want to open it to the group. Do you have any recollection of any incident that really made you start thinking about your body or your clothes, or what other people are thinking about you? Anybody?
Go ahead.
It's so strange. I have to share. So, Deepthi, my story is very similar to yours. Yeah, we've all had the same, got married at 21 also, for my college sweetheart and all of that. Not even college, bloody school. And, so then you start playing the role. And especially, I think, I came from a pretty dark background, so I met this man and so much of love from the family and him. And of course, I jumped. Yeah, I was like, screw career, because I was very ambitious. I was in the advertising space. And but to answer your question, I am really kind of banging my head here to try and remember when was the time when I felt really conscious about my clothing. I'm 51. I can't think of one because I've never bloody fit. तो वो वैसे ही, as much as I try to play along, I'm really struggling to find a moment when I felt really awkward in what I was wearing. I'm really having a hard time remembering, because I think I've never played the norms simply because I just couldn't keep up. I
Which
just
is
could never
great.
keep up with the perfect looking bahu or the perfect looking wife. So मैंने try नहीं करा. So I was always anyway the misfit. But a very interesting question. I'm going to think about it though.
Yeah, but when you say you were the misfit, so you just reconcile to the fact कि तो मैं तो ऐसे ही हूँ.
No, मेरे को ये game ही नहीं खेलनी. Like I just wasn't in the race, कि
हम नहीं खेलते.
your saree has to be the whatever and your suit has to be. So I'd wear kaftans and I'd wear pants because I just couldn't play the game.
Okay, that's good. That's anybody else? Malvika, you were saying something?
No, I was hoping somebody else would say. I can always say, because I've been conscious about this forever. I mean, I don't probably remember my earliest memories, but I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, my sister, the middle sister, and I are not very far apart in terms of years, and she was the one who was always a little bit more on the more conventional, fairer, acceptable kind of a side. And I think there was always this comparison which was there, so it kind of remains in your mind. Those things remain, and that has always been there. And I think as I grew up, I was taught to be conventional. I think my natural personality is unconventional, so I was trying to kind of break the like, just like Mandeep said, I could just never fit in the conventional, though the conditioning was such that was trying very hard. So Mandeep didn't try. I tried very hard to be the conventional person.
Yeah.
Someone else, I think it's great, guys, if you would like to talk about some of these things.
Ravneet, you're on mute.
Yes. Hi, I'm Ravneet. Ever, like, you really touched a raw nerve within me, because all your life, I've been looking for the validation of others. Maybe it's my sibling, of my spouse, of anybody. But recently, when I healed myself about everything, which I feel that I've again, as Mandeep was talking, it was her dark journey and about her like very past. Similarly, I do not remember, but there's a lot of trauma, a lot of pain there, which has been just getting identified when you are all talking about it. Of lately, I've started feeling so nice about myself because I've healed a certain part of my personality where I feel that ab ho gaya bahut, ab mujhe apne liye jeena hai.
Yeah.
So that is the turning point. Maybe it came 6 months back or maybe a year back, but after that, I am just bindas about things.
Yeah, and I think that while we may not remember when it started, but I'm sure we will recognize when it actually ends, because that's when it will make you feel that much stronger about yourself, that much more happier. So going back, if you just look at it from all of us, whether it's my story, it's Malvika's, it's Ravneet's, or Mandeep's, it's all about that family thing that is there. It starts with family. In my case, our family was like very, very, very understanding, very encouraging. But then there was siblings. Siblings can be really hard on you, right? I mean, they all say "bacche man ke sache," which is true, but that sachai also comes a lot of harsh reality that kids don't mince their words. So a lot of times they will tell you how they feel. And so when we have a family influence, or there are certain things that go on in the family, like if the family believes that fair is pretty, you start to believe that. If the family feels that thin is beautiful and that's the way to be, then you start believing that it becomes your idea of beauty as well. Then of course you go to school and all of that happens. Those influences happen. A lot of bullying around in school. A lot of the conventions of beauty start when in school everything happens. There are the popular girls who are mostly skinny, and and they are supposedly fair and beautiful according to the boys there. So you start thinking, okay, this is the epitome of beauty. Nobody really bothered to check with that girl whether she felt beautiful or not. We all decided that she's the perfect example of beauty. But uske man mein kya chal raha hai, usko sachi mein, does she feel pretty herself? Nobody knows. So it just became a convention that fair, thin, tall women and nice figures are beautiful. So that's the standard convention. And obviously all your social media, just as such, movies, everything, The moment the heroine was a fat one, you made fun of her. When she was a skinny one, she was hot, right? So so these are things that we grew up with, right? Now, when we grew up, these became, in a lot of ways, our inner language. How we started talking to ourselves. And this inner language is what I want to spend some time on, which we don't realize. Think back, for those of you who have been conscious about your body, okay? Think back that when there would have come a time when you walk into a group of people, and before they can crack a joke about you, your appearance, your anything, you do that just so that you don't feel so bad. Okay? When, for example, I mean, I used to do that a lot, and these were my best friends, so to speak. There are 4 friends of ours, closest friends, and even before I would walk into the door, I would call myself the fat jolly one is here, right? Because I didn't want them to call me fat jolly one or the fun one. Thinking back, I don't know whether they even said that even once. I don't know, but I just didn't want them to do that, so I did it for myself. Okay? And that self-deprecating behavior is there amongst all of us, that before somebody says it, swimming pool mein main nahi jaungi, sara pani bahar nikal aayega. Standard joke that we make about fat women going into a pool, right? That the pool will spill water and all of that. How can you wear a swimming suit? Tumhare size mein milta bhi hai kya? Right? The first time somebody told you about Fair and Lovely, that's another thing. Oh, this, you should try this cream. Kyun bhai? I think my skin is fine, right? But that's when we start making jokes even before somebody starts to say it. That for me is self-deprecating behavior. Think back, are there conversations that you have with yourself which kind of is about, oh, I don't look good like this. I wish this was a little, you know, tighter, or I wish I looked like that person. And started to talk to ourselves where we pull ourselves down because of the way we look. Anybody? Can you think back and think of a time when you did that to yourself?
Deepti, I would want to share.
Yeah.
I wish I could be on camera, but I'll still share. I'm driving.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a very recent example. So about a couple of years ago, I'd lost, during the pandemic, I was one of those fortunate people who could sit home, exercise. And I lost quite a lot of weight. And I was really feeling good about being fit and healthy through yoga.
Yeah.
And come 2022, you know, we are back to eating out, blah, 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 all of that. You know, so I kind of put about 10 kgs on. And fortunately, even with my weight, I've always kind of gathered compliments around how I look and, you know, how I'm so comfortable in my skin, etc. But somehow, I don't know whether it's a childhood comparison between 3 sisters. This is kind of completely set in my mind that I am okay, I look nice and I'm comfortable, but anybody giving me compliment, I have to come back with a reason why probably I should not be getting it. So I'll give you an example. I was wearing a black kurta and one of my office colleagues, he mentioned, wow, you look really nice in what you're wearing today. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm trying to, you know, hide those 10 extra pounds that I put on. So immediately I kind of put that context there for me that, look, I am fat and probably, and that's me, and he's still finding me pretty, but it's me telling myself that I put on those 10 kgs and I'm trying to hide it.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that's a very normal thing for most Indian people to do, and men and women alike. Huh? We don't know how to accept compliments. If
Yes.
somebody says that's a beautiful sari, first answer is sale mein li thi.
Yeah,
Easy,
correct.
right?
Yes,
This is like it naturally comes out. We don't know how to say thank you because
correct.
yeah, okay, yes, I know I'm looking gorgeous, so thank you for noticing, thank you for appreciating. We won't do that. Yeah.
Right.
And totally agree with you that we don't even believe that somebody is appreciating me for this. Wow, like aise kaise ho gaya? So I must say something to counter that. So
Correct.
Because we are not believing in ourselves. That's so it's been happening recently with me. If I wear a dress or something and say, oh, nice dress, and the first thing that comes out is, acha, aur koi fit nahi aa rahi na, aaj koi cheezein to maine ye dresses pehni. So it just comes out because we are not able to believe ourselves that we're looking good because we have changed so much.
yeah,
Especially with this whole perimenopause thing in the last 2 years, suddenly your shape has gone all haywire. And you're trying hard, but nothing is really affecting. So what happens is that you don't believe yourself that you're looking nice.
yeah.
Okay?
So the counter of this is also true, okay? So while appreciation, we don't know how to accept appreciation. Let's just accept it. It's only over a period of time that now when somebody comes up to me and says, oh my God, you're looking so pretty in this, I know that I must say thank you. I'm dying inside to say, add a few lines to it, but I just stop at thank you because I've conditioned my mind to say thank you. There was a time when I was the other extreme of arrogance in appreciation. So when somebody would say, you're looking nice, I'd say, I know. That's another piece of how you kind of react, because you are trying to, that is actually me protecting myself. Okay, so what are you trying to tell me? That I don't look nice otherwise? And that's also a question we ask, right? Ki main waise nahi achhi lagti. I'm looking nice now, matlab? So yeah. Where were we? Yeah, talking about self-deprecating behavior. So this is something that comes very naturally to us. And a lot of times our inner self continues to believe that I am beautiful, but because there are influences around you, you start to question yourself. To be honest, every time somebody asked me to lose weight, and a major problem in my married life was body shaming. Like I was constantly told that you're so fat that you're not worthy enough to be shown love. Okay, that was something. You're very fat, you're not sophisticated enough, you don't know how to dress, so you're just like, you're not worthy for love, right? So every time I'd stand in front of the mirror and say, but I'm so beautiful, inko kyun nahi dikhta that I'm beautiful, right? And I never felt the need to lose weight because I thought I was gorgeous. Inside I was feeling like this nice slim little beautiful woman, but outside I said, okay, now I have to please them, so I must try and lose weight, which is why the weight loss regimes that I followed never stuck. I mean, I lost oodles amount of weight by crash dieting and excessive exercise and starvation and all of that, but that never stuck. I never felt that I needed to do this to feel beautiful, because I always felt that I'm gorgeous. Inhi mein problem hai. So over a period of time, the language that we speak with ourselves, we have to check that language. Every time you talk or you see yourself in the mirror, that is when you need to just be conscious. A lot of things come automatically to us. Check that auto response, that what are we talking to ourselves about? And that inner language is what self-love is. Self-love is when you don't listen to anything around, when you don't conform to standards that others have set for you, be it society, be it your family, be it anybody else, but you conform to what you want. And remember, that's a dangerous path, because a lot of times we set standards which are set by society. So I need to have a 24-inch waist. That is my standard for myself, right? Set by whom? Set by a certain size of what the society believes. I have a friend, I've known her since college, and she was a little chubby in college, and everybody used to, the two of us were like a pair in college. I was the skinny one, she was the plump one, so she was moti, I was patli. That was how it was. People used to refer to us as that. And over a period of time, she made it her business in life to be skinny. She wanted to be waif thin, like, really thin. So her standard has always been that even at this age, she wants to have a waist of 24. And when she can't do it, she used to go into depression, right? So it's not that it's only about being fat that body confidence is required when you're fat. It's about just feeling beautiful no matter what size, no matter what color, no matter whether you have black hair, gray hair, whatever kind of curly hair, straight hair, doesn't matter, right? So the inner language that you speak, be conscious about that. It's very, very strange. When you start to notice your inner language is when you will realize whether you're really body confident or is it just a sham. Start to look at that, right? And you'll realize how often we don't even realize it, and we are doing, we are getting conscious about our flaws. Now, most people, we've learned, that there's a saying that says that people who laugh at themselves are the most confident people. I don't agree with that. Okay. People who laugh could be laughing to cover up things. So when you are also with such people, maybe you want to be conscious about how much are they laughing about themselves. Do you want to give them support, right? So people don't need to laugh at themselves. We need to stand up for ourselves. So I remember going for this 25-year reunion of our school passing out time in 2017. And one of the guys that I met, he was like, "Oh, you're Deepti Rishi. My God, you were popular in school." I was like, "Yeah, I know this, that, and the other, being myself." He says, "But what happened to you? मतलब इतने सालों में तुमने क्या किया अपने साथ? कोई weight lose करो." At that time, I was like, a little taken aback. कि इसने मेरे से ऐसे क्यों बात? I said, "हाँ, what happened to you? You lost all your hair. मैं तो फिर भी अपने weight lose कर रही हूँ. तुम्हारा क्या होगा?" So at that time, I'm glad that I had the presence of mind to get back at him. But that's where, laughing at yourself, and that time I could have just said, "Yeah, I know I should lose weight." And, I looked at, I looked different in school. Of course, I looked different in school. I was 16, I was 18. I didn't have a child then. I didn't have trauma. I didn't have, whatever that I faced. So I am going to look different. And I am going to face it. That's where now I had two choices. I could have taken that comment, come back and moped over it for the next 10 days, worked out extra hard, starved myself, realized everything is not going to change, and then gone into depression, or chosen to give him a verbal slap there and then and come back and say, "I'm still who I am. And I am because of all the battle scars that I have," which is what I chose to do, right? Now, so again, going back to self-love, a lot of times we feel that self-love is to be shown to others. I think self-love, obviously, it's because it's about yourself. It is to be shown to yourself in the mirror. Every time you look at the mirror, be it 5 o'clock in the morning when you've just woken up, what is that inner language? That inner language is so important. You look at yourself and, "Oh my God, what a ghost." Or, "Hi, gorgeous. How are you? Good morning." it'll just change your day. Try it. It'll just change your day. You know, the moment you talk to yourself as the person who is the one that lights up the room, you will be the person who lights up the room. So again, the inner language that we speak. Now, with the physical symptoms that we are going through in menopause.
Deepti, it's just a question on that earlier part. How do you change the inner language? Because see, it's been like years of telling yourself that you would look better if you were slimmer. You would have a much happier, successful love relationship in your life, and maybe have one if you were prettier, or you were petite, or you were 10 pounds lighter. So how do you change that? Because when you look in the mirror, you're saying, oh, aur gadde bad gaye aankhon ke niche. So how do you change that language?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So how do you change yourself, change that language is firstly to understand what is it that is your idea of beauty and where is it coming from. Okay, what is your idea of beauty? When I say that my idea of beauty is that anybody who is confident about themselves is my idea of beauty. So first and foremost, the best way to do it is to write it down. What is your idea of beauty? And when you say that my idea of beauty is somebody who is slim, where is this coming from? Is this idea your own idea? Is this idea your mother's idea, your husband's idea, your society's idea, social media's idea? Where is this idea coming from? Right? If you say that this idea of beauty is mine, okay, and you are struggling to get there, that is where there is a dichotomy in what you believe in and what is reality. So if let's talk about this. If there was a person that you don't agree with and who's very dear to you, you would sit him down and argue with him or her, right? So the one way of doing it is to sit yourself down and argue with it. Is this a doable thing? Is this logical for me? If your answer still is yes, then you really have to try harder to fit into that mold, because you're yourself not in that acceptance mode. Okay, you will need to have harder discussions with yourself. But if it is everybody else's influence that is making you believe a certain formula of beauty, then maybe again go back to that list that you have made, and what do I believe about beauty? And then go back and say, damn it, I don't care. Yes, Preeti, you have a point to make. Preeti, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I had a problem unmuting myself. So this is amazing. And I'd like to share that although I did not have very serious concerns about my body, because I was all the time doing a lot of other stuff. My life has been really full of activity. I really did not have time to think so much. Just a moment. It's not, yeah, finally unmuted. Yeah, so so no matter how I look, I've had my moments of social anxiety a little bit. I've had once in a party, my husband on the mic, he said, what do I do? Yeah, my wife is so fat. Can you imagine that? But somehow there was so much more happening in my life at that point in time. I laughed, I automatically laughed the loudest. And there was somebody else who said, "Aaj ye ghar jaake pitega," bahut zor se. And everybody laughed it off. And it was amazing. I remember this now, till now. This was about 15 years back. So obviously it would have hurt me, but it didn't create a fight. Because I believed that whatever shape or size my body was in, it was acceptable to me. If I needed to do something about myself, I would do it. And acceptance is the word that I caught on when I raised my hand. And the exercise that helped me, because in my course, I learned a lot about this, is that there is a dichotomy because your motivation is extrinsic. You're trying to come up to another person's expectation. Turn it inwards, turn it within you. Ask yourself, how do I feel? I feel awful when I'm not slim enough. Why? Because so-and-so doesn't like me enough. So-and-so expects me. I'll get more compliments. So-and-so will give me more love. No, so-and-so is never going to give you more love because it's not your waist size that is making the person love you. It is their low self-esteem, that makes them think that if their wife or sister or whoever is a trophy or looks very pretty, or it's like a model car that they are driving, if they have somebody like that with them, it'll make them look better. So it is something that is coming from their mind. It is not you. So firstly, accept yourself. Self-talk. How do I feel? I feel insecure. I feel underconfident. I feel not so loving about my own waist, my own body, my own whatever. Then tell yourself, I accept myself. Just accept it. And then release that emotion of uncertainty, insecurity, the negative, whatever. Define the emotion, accept your body, and release the emotion. That is one way of starting to feel good.
Absolutely.
And this is the exercise that makes you accept yourself better.
Yeah.
There are times when I go up the stage and I have a very bad class, and the whole class is looking at me and what is she even saying? And that makes me feel the same way about myself. And I come back and I do this self-love and I say, oh, tomorrow is going to be another day. So there are so many situations that can make you feel similar. Why only body? Anything.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And emotion.
Yeah.
Right?
And the more we try to get an external stimulus for that acceptance, the more difficult it becomes to accept it. So how do we manage to do this? It's the inner conversation that you have. What helped me was to write it down. For example, why do I want to lose weight? Okay, that was one question. I mean, struggle with weight, everybody has. Right now, all of us are facing that sudden increase in weight. The belly fat is increasing. Suddenly, nothing fits. Jeans look like you're pregnant and all of that. So, weight agar lose karna hai, to kiske liye karna hai? For what purpose? Now, because that purpose has to be defined very clearly. And like Preeti also said, that is it to fit into a mold which will make us be loved more? Or is it for my own well-being? If that is why I need to lose weight, you will lose it faster than when you're losing it for somebody else. So throughout, I mean, I've never liked exercise ever. But in 2019, there was this point where my son and I had gone shopping and I was exhausted in 15 minutes time in Ambience Mall. And I sat down in one of those benches that are there. And right next to me was this grandmother who was equally tired as I was. And I was like, my God, this woman is 20 years older than I, and both of us are sitting here exhausted. Like, I'm as good as her. It was like this epiphany in my brain. And I said, I must do something about my stamina, yeah? Next time, I don't want to go shopping like this and get exhausted in like 15 minutes time. Thank God for online shopping. I'd never get exhausted anymore shopping. But I've worked really hard at stamina building. So when it became about stamina, when it became about something else that is not looks related, it is not about somebody's idea about beauty, but about my well-being, I worked harder towards it. Right? So to answer, long-winded answer to how to do this, talk to yourself about why you feel the way you do and what is your stimulus. If that stimulus is external, we need to change that stimulus to internal, and start to talk about how this is not relevant and my internal stimulus is what will guide me. Yes, Malvika.
So, Deepti, you touched a very important point sometime back when you started, that we all look at that beautiful girl who we think is beautiful. Let me rephrase that and say ki maybe she has it easy. Maybe everything is working out for her, but how do we know what she feels? But I think this is very strongly ingrained in us to say, ki, okay, because she's prettier or slimmer or somebody else's idea of pretty, she might get it easy or she might get it, but nobody really knows what she's actually going through.
Yeah.
So maybe if you could touch upon that a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would have heard these things in office, in college, in everything, and every other place, that, oh, she's got a promotion. Dekho na, when you look like that, when you wear clothes like that, promotion to milegi. Kyun nahi milegi? When in college also, all the boys are after her. Look at the way she looks, or dekho kapde kaise pehnti hai. So, hamari taraf se to that person becomes the the Veronica of the Archie comics, or hum Betty reh jate hain hamesha. Archie hamesha Veronica ko hi milta hai. So now you flip that to maintain that look, to maintain that whole thing, and also to be seen beyond just the looks and the pretty face. We don't know what struggles that person is going through. Again, I bring back this friend of mine whose entire lifetime struggle is to be size 24, and I keep asking her, like, what's this obsession with the waist size of 24? She said, you know what, long back when we were in college, so when we were all sitting together and you walked in, I had a crush on this guy, and very an intellectual fellow and all of that. He turned around to me and said, girls like her, the beauty and, the vulnerable kinds, unko sab kuch milega. But you and I, our brains don't get seen. So we have to try that much harder. So we are not that good looking, but we have our brains. So in her mind, she had to try that much harder because her looks wouldn't do it for her. So that is why that size 24 waist became an obsession for her. And even at this age, she is 49 right now. Even at this age, that size 24 is her obsession. So now when she is exceeding that, obviously she is also menopausal. So she's finding it very difficult. She has to undergo a hysterectomy very soon. And she finds it very, very difficult to accept that, because the stimulus again was outside. So it's not that only the non-beautiful people or the like today, every time she walks on stage, she's a celebrity, so to speak. The word sexy, the word gorgeous, the word traditional beauty is always stuck with her. But at the back of her mind, that size 24 doesn't leave her. So we don't know what the struggle is with the other person, which is what I like about this community, that as a community, we can help each other, right? So if we are aware that self-love can be a struggle, we should go ahead and, talk about it. Or when you see somebody struggling or even being self-deprecative, especially what I feel is that people who don't fit into the societal beauty standards have an easier way to accept themselves. But people who are there but struggling and want to remain there with that societal standard find it more difficult. Because when you're at if you equate it to being at the top, you have to really struggle to be at the top. Kuch bhi karke wahin pe rehna hai types. So wo struggle is harder. So maybe you can extend your hand and help them as well. Yes, Shivali.
Hi, Dipti. So you touched upon something very, very profound, actually. That when people see you or sometimes would judge you the way you look,
Yeah.
and do not want to look beyond your looks, and that you can bring in some meat to the table as well, or you have your brains because of which you've achieved what you've achieved in life.
Yes.
It's typically this thing that you look good and hence you get it all easy, right? So with that, sometimes the flip side of it to the person who's going through that is they start thinking otherwise, that they have to mellow themselves down. They have to really mellow down in absolutely every sense, that I can't dress up loud, I can't I can't wear short stuff, because then people will say, see, that's why you're getting what you're getting.
Yeah.
So people start, and typically I've been in that category where people always thought that the way I look, I get it very easy. Nobody wants to look beyond that. Maybe I have to work harder.
Yeah.
To prove it to people that it's not the looks, it's actually the substance that I bring to the table is where God gets me where I am.
Yeah.
So there is a flip side to this as well. And by the virtue of that, and that being a predominant thing that's happening over the years, you start mellowing yourself down to an extent that you start bringing yourself down. You do that self-talk, which is in the opposite direction.
Opposite
To say,
direction.
so how do you deal with that?
Yeah, and that is very, very, very true, because I've seen that happening. Example, my ex-boss, really gorgeous woman, wore the sexiest saris with the sexiest blouses, very decently dressed. You couldn't see the navel also, if that's what, the idea of decency or whatever is. But the talk even from other women was the same, that obviously she'll rise, look at the way she's dressed. So she started changing the way her blouses were, right? So from being regular blouses, they started becoming boat necks and round necks and long sleeves and all of that. She's still stuck to the sari, but you could see the change that was happening. And I remember asking her once, I said, I miss your sleeveless blouses. She says, I miss them too, but it seems that, that's what gets me progress. So, but that's the example I'd like to give you, that while she changed it a notch, even with those blouses, she looked sexy as hell, but she changed it a notch, but she didn't let those things affect her. What she brought to the table, she was confident about that, what she brought to the table. And you've got to continue to do your job, and you've got to continue to be yourself. That inner language has to be that this is not what it is. Okay, there is more to me than this. And I'm going to do what I can do. You don't need to do that extra. Okay.
Sure.
And you'll get what you will get. Unfortunately, the wagging tongues will continue to do that. Whether you're good or you're not good, it will continue. मतलब ऐसे भी बात करेंगे, वैसे भी बात करेंगे, तो स्वाहा करो ना उनको. Just leave them aside. Listen to your own voice. Make that the loudest.
Sure.
There was this thing, there was this video done by Sushmita Sen that I completely adored. And I thought that was the thing to feel great about yourself. What she said was that when you wake up in the morning, you decide whether you want to be a 1 today or you want to be a 10. Okay? If you want to be a 10 on that day, do whatever you need to do to feel that 10. And if you're not feeling that 10, you're a 6 today or a 4 or a 1. It's also okay. Do whatever you need to feel that way. If you need to be in your sweatpants that day and just curl up with a book and wear your chashma and not wear your contacts that day, it's your choice. Okay, but at the same time, if you want to be all dressed up and want to feel great about that particular day, go ahead, be that way. I really, it really resonated with me, because there was a point where people could look at me and come and ask me, "Aaj aapka mood theek nahi hai na?" And that was the day when I was completely made up. Eyeliner bhi hoga, foundation bhi hoga, blush on bhi hoga, because that was me trying to pick up myself. On all other days when I was feeling great about myself, it really didn't matter. I could just be in whatever I wore. And then I realized, ye kya matlab hua yaar? So then I started to say that, okay, I don't feel good today. So I don't need to do all this upar ka mask nahi lagane ki zarurat hai.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'd say, that go ahead and be yourself. If you feel sexy, you are sexy. That's what it is. And I can work too. You got all this and and talent. So let's do that. So that's I think what I wanted to share today was largely about self-love, and body positivity is all about the inner conversation. The inner conversation is what we forget. We only crowd ourselves with outside. जो आवाज आती है उसको कैसे डील करना है, उसमें हम इतना खो जाते हैं कि जो अंदर से आवाज आ रही है वो तो साइलेंस ही हो जाती है. We put our own silencer on it. So at the end, I just like to sum up by saying that listen to yourself and be kind to yourself. I think we as women have forgotten to be kind to ourselves. The moment, like Shivali said, that the moment somebody points out ki, look at how you look, obviously you're going to get it easy. You will try that much harder to not look good. The moment somebody tells you you don't look good, you'll try that much harder to look good. मतलब हमेशा किसी के बोलने से ही कुछ हो जरूरी नहीं है. It is all about how you want to treat yourself. Let's be kind to ourselves. And it is menopause. We are going through mood swings. We are going through body changes, which are massive. Our sole focus should be to remain healthy through all of this. Fat, slim, fair, age spots, all of that will all be a part and parcel of life. So let's be more accepting and kinder to ourselves and listen to inner voice.
Absolutely.
That's all I had to share today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepti. Let's have an open conversation, guys, if you want to unmute and talk. I do want to definitely talk about the fact that we are always looking for validation from external parties. And one of the biggest reason why some of us go through this कि हमें ऐसे बनना है और मैं, because हमें लगता है कोई और हमें accept थोड़ा ज़्यादा करेगा. Deepti, so just a little bit.
I'm dying to share something.
Please, Deepti, go ahead.
Okay, let me introduce myself as Deepti's sister. And
She's the sibling who gave me trouble all my life. So that's a lie.
Really?
I have a feeling it would be the other way around if I'm not wrong.
What I remember is a little baby. She's about 8-9 years younger to me. So she was, she was in my lap when she was 1 or 2 months old, and that navel thing, it fell off in my lap, and I was so scared that I had kind of harmed her. And I just put it back on the navel, and I told my mom that this is so loose, it might just come off. See, she might get hurt. I was about 8 years old or whatever. So that's my memory of Deepti, and we grew up together. Luckily, we had very unconditionally loving and fair and square parents. And they always made us believe that each one of us was special. I was the eldest. So I was special, and she was the youngest baby of the house. She was special. She was all of our baby. And and she was so beautiful. She was like model-like pretty, when and I was more the flat kind in the
See,
industry.
again, this she started now.
See,
Please stop her and check character right now.
Yeah, she is. She still is like, okay, past tense, sorry. But once when I was visiting her, when we were adults, I would visit. I was never the kinds who used to put focus on. I was raised in the South and everything, and whatever my influences were, so that makeup and things didn't. The first time I got my eyebrows done was after my class 12 and stuff. Like it was little stunted in that direction because of my influences. And once I visited her, and she said, "Let's go," and I said, "Okay, let's go." She said, "Are you coming like that?" I said, "Yeah, this is, you'll embarrass me." She said that. Ask her in this forum. She said that to me. And I just took it. I just went in, I put a lipper on and stuff. Whatever I knew about, a little bit about makeup, I did myself up and I said, okay, fine, this is the best I can do. But luckily for me, I didn't take it to heart because I didn't know any better on how to really look, even better and stuff like that. But she was a model, so she did get a lot of adulation when she was growing up, as her body and the way she looked. And of course, she was so talented. She was a horse rider. She would sing so well. She danced so well, performer, debater. Everywhere she was a winner, all rounder. But somehow that looking good stuck to her the most. And even today, when she's telling you self-talk, whatever, whether you are looking 1 or 4 or 6, I would say I am 10 every day. I accept myself. There are shades of 10. 10 in bold, 10 in small letters, 10 in whatever. So just don't bother. You are 10 every day.
True.
And it doesn't matter how the other person is seeing you, because they have their own perception of 10. In your perception, you are a 10.
Yeah.
And if you're not feeling good, it's got nothing to do with how you're looking. Just say, how am I feeling? Awful. So why? And what is the emotion? Accept yourself, accept that emotion and release it. That will really make all the difference. And this, plus a little bit of spiritual health. We all do so much for our body. We all do so much for our minds. We all do a little bit for our emotions also. Okay, we listen to music, this, that, we self-talk, we have friends, we have fora like this. But what do we do about spiritual health? I'm sorry if I'm 8 years elder, so you give me that.
No, but that's
maybe,
true.
maybe I'm giving you. But if you look at art of living, now that was a component that was missing in my life, and for the past 10 years, I have invested in it. And some of these scriptures and some of these, these one-liners that karam karo, phalki chamat karo, it might sound very stereotypical, cliched, but if cognitively, if you have a recognition, it does give you a little bit of peace of mind. No matter what your community is outside, of course, don't get detached from it. Understand where it's coming from. She talked about self-protection, wherein a gorgeous woman had to underplay her looks to look, that she's also bringing something on the table and stuff. So it could be low self-esteem, it could be self-protection, it could be high expectation, it could be social anxiety. So many things can make you a little bit underconfident about your body and not like it. But just in very simple terms, every day, ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I want from my body? What am I feeling if I don't have it, and why? And most importantly, just release that negative feeling and fill yourself up with self-talk. Accept yourself. If you don't accept yourself, other people's comments are going to hurt you. It is not their comment. Sometimes they mean it positively. But if you haven't accepted who you are, you will hurt. So first accept who you are. Because my husband says so many things to me all the time. But, I know where he's coming from, and that's that.
Okay, I'm going to be a little cognizant of time here. And one thing I'd say that that comment was made many years ago when I was still struggling with the whole concept of self-love and body positivity. You come out with me without makeup this time round, I will not say that you're embarrassing me, I promise.
So Deepti, I want to make a little, I want to make a little comment here that sometimes, just dressing up, and I think Deepti will cover that, makes you feel good. It
Yes.
does make you feel that big 10, just putting a little something on your face. It just cheers you up. So I kind of do this with my friend when they come and meet me. I say, just dress up and come. And a lot of friends do that, just put a lipstick, little something. It's not about how I would feel. It's about how you would feel. Because if you are coming like that, and if you are made a little effort on yourself, you'll come back cheerfully, enjoy
I
yourself.
agree.
Yeah. So
I agree with you.
Konika wants to
Yes,
say
Konika wants to say something.
So first of all, obviously I missed out on half the session because I had, my mom and my aunt and everybody over for lunch. And just imagine the timing. The first thing my mother says, "Tu kitni moti ho gayi hai?" अभी तेरी नीज की शादी है, थोड़ी पतली हो जा, ऐसे कैसे कपड़े पूरे आएंगे तुझे? Me being me, I think Malvika knows me too well. I said, कोई नहीं, नए खरीद दूंगी.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just about to say that Connie would have said, "मैं नए कपड़े खरीदूंगी."
so all that you were saying and what Preeti was talking about, I think Malvika's seen that journey. I've had my ups and downs when I've been really nice, thin and slim, and I have put on weight, and weight has been, for example, a struggle with me all my life, right? And I think to a point where I think couple of years back, what you were just saying, Deepti, I don't know what happened, but there were certain circumstances and incidents that happened which made me realize, to your point, and I'm just sharing this with the group because I kind of did practice that, where I said, if I don't like myself the way I am, and I'm constantly battling with myself that I need to look like this or that in a certain way, the world will see me like that as well. I'm a person who's always, for example, very small thing, always had kajal on. Yeah. Okay, I never used to move out of the house also without kajal. And I think now when I'm on video calls, even if it's early morning and I have those really early morning leadership calls, I think I'm so comfortable with myself that I'm literally sitting in my pajamas and doing those leadership review sessions. And I have no problem telling them, this is how I am. If you're calling me at 5 in the morning, this is how you see me. Don't expect that I'm going to dress up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Or if you don't want to see me, I'm switching off my camera, or you switch off your camera. So, I think there's a lot of confidence that you need to have in yourself. I think a lot comes in not just from acceptance, but I think there are also, people around you need who help you in terms of accomplishing that.
I agree.
It does get difficult fighting that battle all by yourself. In a time today where I am sure all of us have seen people who are literally living with artificial bodies. I have friends, and there's nothing wrong in it. It's their personal choice. They've done body sculpting, they've done Botox, they've done facelifting, they've done feature correction, and they look like, oh my God, they didn't look like that even in their 20s. God knows what they're doing. And you're standing next to them and you're like, what? And I've had this incident where a friend is sharing, I've got Botox, I've got fillers and this done. Haven't you thought about it? And I'm looking at her with really big eyes. I said, no. She says, why? I said, I'm okay the way I am. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So, there is a lot of societal pressure. I think it's becoming more and more today than it ever was, where people are talking about it. But to your point, I think you've beautifully summed up. It's your confidence. It is what you are comfortable with. It is how you want to do it. And people outside will criticize you and have comments that will be on you. Irrespective of you're thin, you'll be too thin for them. You're fat, you'll be too fat for them. You're dark, you'll be too dark for them. So there is criticism in whatever you do, but it takes a lot to get comfortable. But I think we all ought to do that, in terms of getting there. But thanks for this, Deepti. I think amazing. And I was reliving a lot of things and thinking for myself in terms of how it is. I have had those, ups and downs and great moments.
Yeah.
Times where I've looked great and times when I've not looked great at all.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay. I think that's part of life.
I think
Yeah,
we come back to the definition of great and by whose standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's ours. It's mine. Let me tell you, it's mine. It's nobody else's. When I'm saying great, I thought I looked nice because I was thin and I was wearing a certain size. But I think today I'm like, I'm great even now, whichever way I am. I like my jhablas and I like the way I am. So I don't care.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing, that I'm wearing this T-shirt especially for today, which says "I'm amazing."
Oh, lovely.
Okay, and I love this T-shirt. I'm gonna, when this wears off, I'm gonna get another one of the same kind, because this really truly sums up what I believe about myself. So. So yeah, over to you, Malvika.
Yeah, so I think let's, if we can go with a couple of takeaways from this session, and unless somebody wants to say anything, last
Yeah,
time.
I want to come in here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hi,
Ruchika, yeah.
I'm Ruchika. Just two appreciation for two ladies here. First, I would like to appreciate my dear close friend Malvika. I think the makeup part of my life has been taught to me by Malvika only. She told me, whenever you come and meet me, you should be all decked up. And whenever I just drop in on, so whenever I even drop by for a little while to her place, I make it a point that I put up a little thing, whatever she has taught me. Otherwise, I'm a no person to make up. And but the fact, when I started learning the way she used to teach me that you do this step, I used to feel there's something different in the mirror, that I'm pampering my face, I'm pampering myself, and I have a right to do this on myself. So that's what I learned from her. And thank you, Deepti. You were one lady when we met that day at Malvika's place. You have something in you, and till date, your picture has just been registered in my mind like I don't know what. And I have been talking about your persona, the way you have overcome everything in life, and the way you have stood by this image and, silenced so many people in your life. I talked about you to my children. I've spoken about you to my parents. You have something, and you have really made it a point that body is okay. Whatever you have, it's okay. I think it's our self-appreciation for self-love is something. And I think you are the one who has really taught us this. Thank you, Malvika,
so
and
much.
thank you, Deepti.
This means so much to me. It is, I mean, the whole purpose of doing it was not so much for any adulation. It just comes naturally now. But it feels really nice, and I'm overwhelmed by your appreciation, Rinku. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
means so much to me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So if we can, all of us go back with some takeaways. I think the first is change the narrative and change the way we talk about ourselves and talk to ourselves, and make a conscious effort every time we are looking in the mirror or any time and we make a comment about ourselves, let it be positive. If it is negative, let's replace it with a positive. So I think that's the first takeaway we should be having. And second is that, you do not have to be self-depreciative in front of others. Do not depreciate yourself in front of others or put yourself down. You are you. Accept yourself. It is most important to accept yourself. And I think the third biggest is, guys, we are at a stage that if we are not kind to ourselves, nobody's going to be. So love yourself, be kind to yourself. It's okay. The 10 pounds are adding to your beauty. Round is a shame. As I said, it looks beautiful. Be kind to yourself and love yourself. It's your confidence. And that's, when Deepti touched upon Shushmita Sen or Priyanka Chopra, they are sometimes not the conventional beauty, but it's their confidence and acceptance of themselves which makes them, who they are. So I think those are my takeaways, which I'd like to just kind of reinstate with everyone. Deepti, any last minute words? Would you like to say anything else here to add to this?
No, I think you've summed it up really well. I think the whole topic of this session was I choose me. So make yourself your priority is all I would want to end with.
Perfect.
Choose yourself.
Choose yourself.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Deepti, for the lovely session and for taking our time, everybody for taking our time and attending. See you again next month with a new topic.
Thanks, Malvika. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.